we wanted to just start by asking if you could tell us a bit about the International Presidential Scholarship.
Right. So it's unusual for Canadian universities to offer significant financial aid to international students. And for me, it was a really important step for us to do this. And when Huron decided we would really internationalize ourselves, it wasn't for the reason, I can be frank about this, that a lot of universities do it, which is they see international students as cash cows and they bring in significant revenue. I instead wanted to create a kind of global campus where students would interact from students from around the world. And those who hadn't traveled themselves around the world would be able to do it by being friends and classmates with students from Africa, from Asia, from the global south, and so on. But I didn't want just affluent students to be able to participate in this, so I ended up with a community that may be diverse in terms of geography, but not diverse in terms of socioeconomic status. And so it was important for us to create financial aid for international students. And so I said, well, I'm always a fan of go big or go home. So let's make this a big one. So we created $100,000 scholarships, the President's International. We have 10 of these available every year. In the first year that we made them available, probably 4 years ago, I think we had 15 applications or something like that. Now we, this year, have over 100 applications. And there's this outstanding students we're attracting. And so we want students that are both academic superstars, but ones who bring something else to the table. And that key thing is empathy, heart, and leadership. And so that's what we're all about here at Huron. Our motto is leadership with heart. And so I decided, I've been involved in post-secondary for 40 years, that just giving people a degree in education was great. We do that well in Canada. But schools like Nancy Campbell, you talk about ethics, character, morality, developing leadership. And then all of a sudden students come to university and nobody talks about that anymore. And so I said, why don't we become the university that picks up the baton and continues to challenge students now that they're independent, out of the house, and they become autonomous, ethical actors in the world themselves. And so if I could recruit young people from around the world who are really good academically, but also brought this to the table, this demonstrated commitment to positive social change and leadership, my thought was you'd create an amazing community. And that's what's been happening through these presidential scholarships.
That's absolutely incredible. Yeah, we have an award here. We call it the Light Upon Light Award. And it's exactly that concept that you have academic excellence and excellence of character. And that either one is good, but together it's like this light upon light.
Absolutely.
So when we had our school assembly and it was announced that Elisa was given or awarded this Presidential International Scholarship for $100,000. The happiness was palpable even through the Zoom call, right? And some of us were crying and the chat was just lighting up from all her peers, just showing support. And she said that she was really blown away by that. So we're just over the moon. We're very, very happy for her. We feel like a little family at Nancy Campbell. And so I just wanted to ask you, what do you think made the difference in her application for this prestigious scholarship?
Well, she really checked all of the boxes. And like you, when I read the applications from some of these students, it's a very emotional process. I grew up in a family with very little education, very little money, but incredibly privileged compared to the circumstances that many of the recipients of this scholarship have had. And so, we read her application and everything that she did. I mean, Elisa starts this organization, Hands and Hearts, to help others. She's, herself a teen, and she's already starting essentially an NGO to help other people in these circumstances while balancing school life and performing at this very high level. And, I reflect on myself and how frankly self-absorbed I was at that age and didn't think enough about people around me. And, I think that's common for lots of people. And then you see somebody so admirable like Elisa, who's already thinking, how do I improve the lives of other people? How do I give of myself? And for me, this is exactly the kind of person we're looking for, because I know if I drop her into our community, the ripple effects will just continue on from this. And, this is a person who looks around and sees challenges in her life and sees things to overcome. And rather than closing down, says, okay, how can I overcome this? And how can I help others overcome? I mean, what an amazing person.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I did an interview like this with her about this whole process as well, and I felt the same thing. Yep. And I said it to her again. I already knew some about you, but learning even more, I'm just even more floored and overwhelmed. So thanks for sharing that. And then we wanted to ask as well, we have a lot of students coming through from all over the world and also from Ontario. And one thing we are really interested to hear from someone in your position, and hope to share that with our students and their families as well, is what can a student that's starting grade 12, what can they do in terms of their efforts to get accepted into Huron or other post-secondary institutions?
Yeah, I talked to lots of parents about this question, and students who succeed at a high level at a school like Nancy Campbell, intellectually, they're going to be fine. They have all the horsepower they need to succeed at university. And sometimes I have to reassure both students and parents, I'm moving up from AAA baseball to the big leagues. Am I going to be able to hit the fastball? Yeah, you will. You don't have to worry about that. It's a question of application and putting in the time and the work to do it, and maturity and commitment, those sorts of things. And those are within your control. You can do those things. It's what's outside of our control sometimes is the circumstances into which we're born, the particular gifts that we have. And everybody has different gifts. But if they're doing well in school, they can do well at university by using the things they can control. For us at Huron, we have one of the highest admission standards in the country. I think we're tied with McGill now as actually the highest in Canada. But we are looking for something beyond that. I actually want to get out of, in the next few years, just focusing so much on high school graduation averages and GPA, because I think there are a lot of young people out there from different backgrounds who don't have the same opportunities. And if you can't get to a great school and you can't have summer experiences, maybe you can't have that same GPA presenting yourself. And we look at what happened in the United States, for example, with the admissions scandal with prestigious institutions, where parents who had means could essentially buy their way into top-ranked institutions. And, that's a terrible thing. In Canada, I think we have a sense that opportunity should be equal to everyone. So I want to devise more admission standards. What I like about the presidential scholarship one is we dig down below the grades, which, are generally pretty good anyway. But we're looking for this X factor, which is the stuff in the heart. And I always tell students, Huron is the only university, I think, in North America that requires every student that attends to volunteer in their community. It's part of the deal. We offer a paid internship to every student that comes. And again, we're unique. It's not competitive. Everybody gets one. You just tell me what industry you want to work in. And because of our alumni network, we get you a paid internship. But the students, half the deal is they got to volunteer. And I had a student at a independent school ask me one time, put up his hand, and he said, how many hours do I have to do this? And I said, man, you just don't get it. I don't care if you do it 5 hours or 5,000, but it's got to be genuine. It's got to be something you care about. So I'm looking for students not who are just trying to fluff up a CV, but who just demonstrate in their life that they care about others. That's what I'm looking for. And so if you bring that to the table, you've already got the academic ability, but then you bring this other side of empathy, so that something happens to your roommate or somebody down the hall who you don't even know, and you hear that maybe there's been something happen in their family. You're the person that goes down and says, how can I help? Those are the people that are the glue that hold communities together and build community. And that's who we're trying to have come here.
That's so amazing for me to hear, teaching here 9 years and seeing students come in and then leave and just picturing I wish there was a place where they could go, where they can get the same thing we're trying to do. And it looks like we've found that. So that really leads into this next question of what is it about Nancy Campbell's mission that aligns with the mission of Huron University? I think you've touched on it already, but just in context of our students seriously considering Huron University and post-secondary educational goals. What is it about these missions that seem to be lining up?
Well, if students go to the Nancy Campbell Academy website and then pick 10 other independent schools across Canada and compare them, they'll find an interesting thing. Everybody talks about academic excellence, great students, and so on. Everybody does that. But on your website, very first page, under what we're about, our mission, it talks about moral character, ethical character, and leadership right up front. And it's the same I see with universities. A lot of Canadian universities, if you take their mission statements or you take their strategic plan, you take the front cover off, you can put any university on because we all say a lot of the same things. And you know, I'm sort of inside baseball being frank with you here. But I look for an institution, and Nancy Campbell showed me this, who's willing to put its heart on its sleeve right up front and say, it's not about you going out and making $1 million, we'll make you rich, we'll do this and that. We want you to develop a certain kind of character, because education isn't just a private good, it's a public good. It's something that builds social fabric. And so that's what we decided we would do here at Huron. I mean, look, I'm 61 years old. And as I say, it's 43 years since I went as an undergraduate to university. And I've been a student or a lecturer or a visitor at universities in North and South America, Europe and Asia. I've seen a lot of them. And I just think right now, with so many things going on in the world, whether it's income inequality, racism, climate crisis, a lot of these problems are not technical problems, they're social problems. And they require people with a certain commitment to others, a commitment to justice, a sense of empathy. And so these great institutions, our educational ones, they should be building that infrastructure of empathy, social empathy and care. So when I looked at Nancy Campbell, I said, yeah, you guys are doing that. So how can we partner? I'll tell you just a quick anecdote if we got time on this. Some guidance counselors working with some of the international schools that assist a lot of students who are from marginalized communities and refugees and so on. They sent out a plea about 10 days ago for a particular student who was in the Kakuma refugee camp in Africa, which is a vast camp, 200,000 refugees in it. This was an exceptional student, and he had applied to a prestigious American university all on his own, with no help from guidance counselors, and went through the gazillion-page form and did this, got accepted to the university. And this is a university with a multi-billion-dollar endowment, only to find out they don't give any aid for need-based international students, need-based aid. And so the student was kind of heartbroken. And so the people that work with students at this refugee camp sent out a plea basically all around North America to universities. Is there anybody that can help? So literally within 4 minutes of us getting this, I said, yeah, we can do this. And so we set up a Zoom last week. We talked to this young man, Neil, and he's getting a full ride to come and get an education for us. There's so many opportunities for us to do more. And, you know, here in the West and in Canada, we all do the same. Universities are publicly funded. We complain we don't have any money and blah. We're so rich here compared to so many places in the world. So I never like to hear, oh, we can't do. For me, it's always, how can I find a way to do? And that's what we work on. So, you know, we work with you, and then we get introduced to a student like Elisa. That's not, oh, you asking me to help somebody. It's like, I've just found a pot of gold in this wonderful student. This is fantastic. So for me, these are just opportunities.
That's so amazing. You remind me so much of Gordon Naylor, the founder of our school and the principal, right? He talks in exactly the same way. And I've just seen over the years exactly this attitude towards education, that it should be for everyone. And what can we do? And actually, no, we are the wealthy in the world. And so it's our job, even though we're such a small little private school. And I know it's not easy for education to stay afloat, especially when you're trying to do these sorts of things. So amazing. I'm just like sitting here getting more and more excited, get to know you more and what you guys do at your university. It's amazing. So it's really, you were talking about things that are happening right now in the world and how, you know, things are changing. And so we wanted to ask what you're envisioning for the field of higher education in the next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, I think higher education has to have a more global perspective. And then we have to look upon, when we work into, I've given 2 or 3 speeches in the last few years in Southeast Asia and India, where I've talked about the brain drain in those countries as a kind of colonialism chapter 2. And so in the 19th century, Europeans went to these countries and we took gold and diamonds. And now what we do in the West, we go to these countries and we get the best and the brightest people. And Western governments want them to come and stay here for immigration reasons. And I get that, but it can't be that way for everybody. We have a responsibility to build up the infrastructure and the economy of those countries as well. And so anybody's free to come and stay. And I want to encourage people to pursue whatever passions they have. But I think we have to have a truly global vision where it's not the globe funneling its resources to a few of us in the West, but a way in which it's a real fair interchange. And so our faculty and our students can have outward bound educational opportunities where they go to the developing world and they participate in helping building up social fabric and economy there, not just going one way. So that's one thing. Second thing is, we do need to stop thinking about education as simply a private good. And we really started this through the 70s, 80s, and 90s in the West, and if I can be, briefly political for a moment, it sort of culminates in a guy like Donald Trump saying, America first or me first. That's an attitude we have to get away from. It has to be we first, where we think of others at the same time. Because otherwise it's just a zero-sum game, as we see. We are interdependent. I mean, COVID shows us that, right? You can do all you want, but this spreads all around the world. And we know the global economy is similarly interconnected. So if I'm going to partner with somebody in the developing world, it can't just be, what am I going to get from this person? What can I give to this person? And so these rich institutions of the West, governments, hospitals, healthcare, universities, that's the way we have to start thinking. Not how to get resources, but how to share resources. If we do that, we can be really transformative. I mean, and I know, Karim, that we have enough food in the world to feed everybody. We have enough resources to care for everybody. So at what point do I need to stop stacking up excess resources for myself when somebody's going without? And I think we will also find we have a more stable world once we do this, because the causes of tension and instability so often come from inequality. And so that's what I'd like to see institutions in the West do in post-secondary. I mean, I can talk about ways we'll change delivery and models and pedagogical changes, and we'll do all those things. But I just think we have opportunities to actually build better societies. And that's the big goal I want to see us work towards.
That's amazing. I'm just so happy to hear that. It really is inspiring to hear that. And I just kind of keep saying that after each answer you give, because that's just genuinely how I feel, is I feel like we're doing that. And we've been trying to do that very hard here at Nancy Campbell as a high school. But to hear, a university also gearing up and also been doing that is just super, super inspiring. And I'm really happy we're here talking about it and, to share this with more people, because I think other universities may get inspired, and other schools may get inspired, and we can share that. So just the last question for today is, what considerations do you feel are most important for families when choosing and affording education for their children?
Yeah, and it's a question I get asked a lot by parents especially. First thing I'd say is don't pay any attention to rankings. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not. So in the United States, for example, USA Today, they do the preeminent form of rankings down there. The number 95th ranked school in the United States is as good as the number 1. There's next to no difference between the top 100 or 200 schools, but yet it's a cutthroat competition. So Yale, Harvard, Stanford, Princeton, every year, who can be number 1? I remember a couple of years ago, I was talking to a parent in China, and he was crestfallen because his daughter had gotten accepted to Oxford, not Cambridge. And that particular year, Cambridge was number 1 and Oxford was 2. They flip-flop every year. And I said to this poor parent, Come on, Oxford, Cambridge, there's no difference. They're amongst the world's greatest universities, and they've been that way for like 900 years. But I find parents all the time stressing about this. The key to success for an undergraduate student, an 18-year-old, is fit in the community. Where can I go and be cared for? Where can I go to have people recognize me as an individual? Where can I find friends and relationships? Where can I find an institution that supports me? All of that is what actually matters for that first degree and for the 18 to 22-year-old. And so what parents need to do is they need to talk to guidance counselors, people that know the institution, and then if they can, they should visit them and look around and talk to people. One of the things I say to parents, phone an institution and try and get information and just see how far up the chain you can talk to somebody. And one of the deals I make here on move-in day, I stand at the entrance of Huron and I give every parent that moves in, I welcome them and they're coming with their trailers, they're unloading fridges and things. I give them all my business card with my home phone number on it or my cell phone. And I'll say, anytime in the next 4 years, you can phone me. Go ahead and test me. And so, 7 o'clock Sunday evening, I'll get a call. Oh, I met you 3 months ago. My son needs this. Okay. And I respond. And find an institution at that first degree that will treat you and recognize you, because you're going to have bumps along the way. If the main thing you're looking for your son or daughter is to brag to your sister or your neighbor, they get into X, which is the number 14th ranked institution. That's one thing. But if you really care for the well-being of your young person, find the place they're going to be happy and they're going to flourish. And it could be the most obscure institution that nobody's heard of. It could be the biggest institution in the world. People are different, but it's that fit. And that's why you need to go below the surface and do a bit more homework. How big are the class sizes? How many academic advisors? Are there supports for academic or special needs or mental health supports? Find out those things. And how long does it take to see one of those persons if I need it? Those are the questions they should ask. So standard nutshell answer, it's about the fit and what will help that individual flourish. It's not about how many Nobel Prize winners went to this institution or how many books in the library. That's really irrelevant.
Wow, that's amazing. Something I always tell my students is I ask them the and then what questioning game. So I say, okay, you're going to go there and then what? Okay, you're going to get the job and then what? And then what? And of course, the answer is what you said earlier, is building this infrastructure of empathy in the world. That's the and then what that I'm trying to get them to, but it seems that we're all really focused on the job, their career, and the number one institution or whatever. And not to say there's anything wrong with those things, but I really want to just hang out with you all day and pick your brain. But
sounds like we've got a lot of commonality.
Yes, but I do respect your time, and I'm very grateful for you and for Drew to be here with me today. So thank you so much.
Is there anything ever that we can do for you or for your students? Just so you know how to get a hold of me, and we're there. It's all about making a difference. And at the end, when you get to the end of the race, looking back and see how much good you were able to achieve. And so we're here anytime for you.